In Attack of the Clones, we witness Mace Windu decapitate Jango Fett after he failed to escape due to his jetpack malfunctioning. But what if Jango Fett's jetpack wasn't damaged and he was able to fly out of the arena before Mace or anyone else had a chance to end his life? What would he have done afterwards? Well, the moment the clone army arrived to save the remaining Jedi and Padme in the arena, Jango Fett, as well as all of the other separatists, would have fled to safety and away from Geonosis. He wouldn't have stayed to fight, and his main goal would have been to get out as quickly as possible while protecting his son, Boba. With the full outbreak of the Clone Wars, who would Jango have fought for? Well, he definitely would not have fought for the Republic. The Jedi viewed him as an enemy who had killed one of their own during the arena battle, as well as him killing scores of other Jedi decades earlier. Jango also hated the Jedi for what they had done to his people decades earlier, when they wiped them out. And because of that, them working together is very unlikely, even with the fact that the Jedi were fighting with an army of his clones. Actually, the Republic would probably have posted a huge bounty for him, not only for his actions in killing Jedi, but also for the possible information he may contain concerning the clone army. Now, would Jango Fett have fought for the Separatists? Probably not, at least not directly. Not only did he care very little for the whole cause that the Separatists were fighting for, as he's really in it only for the money, but he also doesn't have very much experience commanding armies in battle. He is a hardened bounty hunter, not an experienced military leader. He probably would only be involved with the Separatists when carrying out personal assassination missions for Dooku, most likely taking out targets that threaten to reveal the clone army's true purpose to the Jedi. And this is all assuming that Palpatine lets Jango live. Like we said earlier, the Republic would most likely place a huge bounty on Jango Fett for the possibility of him having secret information concerning the clone army. And yes, Jango Fett did know of their true purpose of wiping out the Jedi, which he was totally for because he hated them. Now, if his capture was a huge threat to the Sith's plan, then Palpatine would order Dooku to kill him as a means to tie up that loose end. Jango didn't really matter anymore to the Sith's grand plan. He had served his purpose well, and now was just a liability. A huge one at that. Him being killed by the Sith is very likely, as Palpatine wouldn't want to risk his entire plans being ruined with the possibility of Jango being captured by the Republic. So that's what we think would have been the most likely fate for Jango Fett if he had survived Geonosis. But what if they don't see him as a liability and allow him to live? Well, if that's the case, then on top of doing the occasional assassination jobs for Dooku, Jango would spend much of his time training Boba to become an effective killer and later bounty hunter, as he did prior to the Battle of Geonosis. Would Jango Fett still remain an active bounty hunter for people other than Dooku? That's hard to say, as Jango was paid heavily for his involvement in the creation of the clone army. He probably had enough credits to live off of for the rest of his life. Chances are he would just spend his time training Boba as a means to continue his legacy as a bounty hunter, rather than risk his life doing the job himself and leaving Boba orphaned. And the last thing that Jango might have done if he had survived the Battle of Geonosis is to fight the re-emerged Death Watch. If you don't know, the Death Watch murdered his family. Jango was saved and taken in by the true Mandalorians who were at war with the Death Watch. Obviously, such an act made Jango hate the Death Watch, and during his years as a Mandalorian warrior, he sought to destroy them and their current leader at the time, Tor Vizsla. He was able to successfully defeat and kill Tor Vizsla, effectively crippling Death Watch. However, Death Watch began to re-emerge again during the Clone Wars, growing large enough to become a viable threat to star systems that it was in. Knowing this, Jango Fett would most likely have fought against them once again, and he would probably try to kill Pre Vizsla. Not sure if he would be successful in defeating them again, but he would have at least tried. From our opinion, based on the information that we have, we think that had Jango Fett survived Geonosis, he would have most likely been eventually killed by Dooku on orders from Palpatine, as a means to remove the risk of him being captured and the clone army's true purpose being revealed to the Jedi. After that, we think him continuing to train Boba while taking on occasional jobs from Dooku that were required to protect the clone army's true purpose would have been the second possibility, with him eventually fighting and seeking to destroy the re-emerged Death Watch also being a likely scenario on top of that. So let us know which scenarios you guys think would be most likely to happen, and let us know what you guys think would have happened if Jango Fett survived Geonosis. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. And as always, may the Force be with you.